Well, welcome to Creative Spirit Gathering. I'm your host today. I'm Reverend Jen Hutchins with Unity Arts Ministry, and I've been using art journaling as a tool since 2005. It's an example that we'll be talking about today in my page. And my art journaling is really a place where I explore, express, and process life and my spiritual journey on the page. And it has been such an invaluable tool for me throughout the years. It is an honor to be able to share this out with the world in this fashion. Now, I've had many incarnations of this sort of group. And so I'm so blessed to have you as part of this community today. Today, we're going to be talking about community and what community experiences we've been having lately in terms of the ways in which we are maybe experiencing that a little bit differently and how we're wanting to step forward into community. Of course, community is such an invaluable part of our lives. And during this time, so many people are experiencing those community connections a little bit differently. So the other night, I happened to invite a few out to a local sunflower field that I wandered upon the day before. And my husband actually let me know, there's a field out there somewhere. And so I found this big, beautiful sunflower field. And that evening I went home and called all my art friends in the area. It was like, come paint with me, come paint with me. I'm going to go paint tomorrow. And so I ended up with a group of 6 people, and we were together for the time in over 4 months, and being able to have this community experience, plus the joy of a field of sunflowers. I mean, that in itself is like, sunflowers, we're all like in that elevated uplift just to be in nature in that way, but then to have community again, and particularly a community that we had all as creatives come to expect, to be together on a weekly basis. It was so beautiful to be able to see each other and smile at each other face to face. And even though, of course, our easels were set apart at a bit of a distance, we were still creating side by side. And side by side is the title of today's message as we explore together what that means in our lives as things are shifting. And I think one of the biggest things to take into account when we're thinking about community is, where are we? Where's our own heart in this? Because of course, for many of us that are connected to our communities in rich ways, it's like we just want to go out and run and hug and like just be in big community again, and that's not the situation right now. So many people are still experiencing a time of social opening up. Our own heart might be at that intuitive level saying, I'm not comfortable yet. Even though doors are open, I'm not comfortable walking through them yet. And so I want to present an opportunity for us to simply reflect on the page on what is your heart telling you right now? What are your safe feelings? And what are your boundaries? Where do those boundaries lie that say, I'm not comfortable with that right now? And how do we honor each other's boundaries? And the idea of self-boundaries and boundary work is certainly not new in the idea or reflections around self-awareness and even in spiritual teachings. In fact, if anyone's read the book, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, she has an entire chapter or week dedicated to essentially setting boundaries. And she calls some of the people in our lives the crazy makers. The ones, right? I say that phrase and the ones instantly, the ones that every time you get off the phone, your head is still spinning, or you get together with them in community and everything you say, they have something against whatever it is that you're doing. They're not supportive of your creative dreams and goals, or they're not supportive of how you want to show up in the world right now. And so as we're talking about boundaries, even boundaries around, who do I want to call? Who do I want to interact with on social media right now? For many of us, there are people that are pushing our buttons. They're not creating safe space for us to be true to ourselves, be true to our own heart's desires in this. So setting boundaries is first about being able to clear enough space mentally and physically in your life so that you can be present to yourself. And what I mean by that is able to have some quiet space, because all of us right now, we could flip open our computers, which most of you already have, because here we are together via computer. But we could, Google search, how should I interact with others right now? And a whole bunch of information is going to come at us. Most of it's going to contradict itself, right? But if we wanted opinions on what we should be doing, the world is full of them. But the thing is that we need to tune into our own truth, our own wisdom, that inner truth that is available to us, and ask from that perspective, what should I be doing? What feels comfortable? What feels right to me? And what opens space for me to feel like I am living into my divine truth, like I am living my most creative, most beautiful, most wonderful life in the midst of everything that's going on around me. And how do I invite my community into this space with me? So we set boundaries by first creating enough space, and that in itself is a boundary, right? Create enough space to listen to our inner wisdom. For many of us, that might be morning journal writing or meditation, going for a walk in the woods and simply being present to yourself for a while, away from the opinions of others. Then from that position, we ask, what is my boundary? What's my safe zone, right? Where do I feel comfortable? What is it that I'm wishing to put out into the world and receive back? And, whether it's a physical distance, whether it's a list of people that feel safe to us right now, people that we know we can call and share our ideas with, and they're going to just simply hold them with us rather than judge or label. Right now, we have so many decisions to make that can be really challenging in terms of community. Our grandchildren is experiencing this in terms of, what do we do with school in the fall, whether they're in college or in elementary school, high school. I had a friend who recently shared a meme on Facebook that said something along the lines of, let's all practice this now. And then the little text was, oh, you plan to send your kids back to public school. That must have been a really hard decision. I'm very proud of you. I support you. Oh, you're planning to do virtual school with your kids. That must have been very hard for you to decide. I'm proud of you. I support you. Oh, you're going to homeschool next year. That must have been a very hard decision. Proud of you. Now, what if, when our friends told us whether or not they're going back to church or they're opening up their small business again, if the answer was, that must have been very hard for you. I support you, and I'm proud of you. If we could all respond in that way and be responded to that way, if we knew that the people we've reached out to for support are going to send that same nourishing support to us, that we feel safe to honor our own boundaries. So notice what your boundaries are. Notice how you respond to others and how you wish to be responded to as you're setting those boundaries. And then rather than moving from logic alone, move from that inner spirit in connecting with community, and how does that feel supported to you right now? In what ways do you want to connect with community? For some of us, it might be picking up a phone and making a one-on-one phone call rather than a text. For others, it might be handwritten notes, thank you cards, even to people in our communities that we haven't been able to be connected with on the same level. Maybe it's social media, but don't stay there too long. It's real easy to get caught up in others' opinions. Maybe go for a walk with a friend, somewhere that you feel safe, that feels comfortable, or invite somebody over for coffee on your back deck. Call up a group of artists and invite them out to a sunflower fields. Whatever feels comfortable and right for you, for making those steps to connect with community, to be enriched by community. Especially our spiritual communities can bring us so much right now in terms of support and personal growth, as long as we are all honoring that diversity within those groups. So following our sunflower experience, my painting, I just finished touching it up a little bit yesterday, so not all done in the fields, but following our sunflower experience, everyone was saying, let's do this again, let's do this again. So we are planning to meet again this week, and I'm so looking forward to it. I know our community is as well. So I invite you to consider and reflect on your journal page today. In what ways has community been changing for you? What are your personal boundaries to set up? And how can you continue to deep connections during this time while honoring your personal boundaries? So the journal page that I shared earlier is a very simple magazine collage. It's actually a 2-page spread that goes like this. It's really hard to fit on the screen all at once. One of the reasons why I love doing a magazine style collage, or even you can print things out on your computer and put them together, is I can really drop into the intuitive process with it. I can sort of set the questions to myself, how am I wanting to relate to community? Put that out there as a question. And then flipping through magazines, just pull any image that catches my eye. And so often when I then glue them onto the page, there's this answer that comes back to me. I can sort of intuit, what was my own intuition, my own inner wisdom telling me? And it lets me drop out of that space of logic thinking for a little while to just let it be an intuitive process. Other times I simply scribble on the page and write and process with words after words after words. Some days it's more about paint smearing and spreading things around. This was actually like into the paint with the back end of the brush to get the text on there. And this was just of writing and processing and then tearing pages to glue down and moving through, what was coming up for me. So your journal page can be whatever intuitive idea is coming forward for you. Maybe you're called to watercolors today, or even crayons. Whatever idea wants to be explored and expressed, let it come forward. Maybe you aren't even focused on community today. Maybe there's something you have going on this afternoon you really want to work through before moving into this. Let the process and the time simply be a place to explore and reflect on the page. What we're going to do is here in our Zoom room, have about an hour for you to dive into your own journal exploration, whatever that's like for you. And then we'll be coming back to the group around 11:30 for sharing time. And that's just sharing the process. How did it go for you? What was the experience like? And before we're going to be moving into meditation, I want to give you who are joining us either through Facebook Live or joining, watching the archive video later, a chance to share your gratitude and appreciation with a donation. And you can do so on our website at unityartsministry.org. So for everyone, we're now going to take a moment for meditation. And this is just a few minutes to presence, into the present moment, to drop in and simply relax before beginning our journal process. So wherever you are, I invite you to allow your body to become comfortable, seated or laying down position, maybe standing if that feels right for you. Become aware of your feet. And notice the ground to the earth, that awareness of connection. And let that awareness and energy rise through your body, your head, connecting to the source energy of all being, by whatever name you call it. We are united in this oneness. We are united in our humanity. We take a moment to breathe this in and exhale. We allow the breath to be a vehicle through which we allow ourselves to deepen our relaxation in this moment, simply being present as one piece of an extended whole, noticing with our senses, and then dropping into the peace within our hearts as we rest for a moment of silence. On the next breath, begin to bring your awareness back to this present moment, bringing with you the peace of the heart, bringing with you the sense of connection to community in deeper ways. I invite you to gently flutter your eyes open as we give thanks for this opportunity to be united in spirit, to be connected together through creative expression. And we take this energy that we've just sunk onto our journal page as we move now into our time of creative contemplation, as we reflect on deepening community.